What is happening, guys? Welcome to another episode, the second episode of the Just Get It Right show. I don't know why I do that. I'm like the Just Get It Right. Like I think I should have like an animation on the video podcast that come out like this that say the Just Get It Right show with your host Ricky Ormsby. Dun dun dun. So, welcome back, guys. Really enjoyed the first episode that we just kind of did a little introduction onto who I am and what this show is going to be about. Had some really cool feedback, which, to be honest, blew my mind quite a bit. Like it was just a little introduction about me, but it seemed to have resonated with quite a few people, and yeah, that made me feel really cool. So thank you very much for that. I think at the moment there's a part of me that kind of enjoys just this like raw discussion with the camera and some of the raw discussions I'm going to be having with other people as they come onto the show. But I think it's not overthinking this thing has been something that's been very powerful to me. I'm usually terrible at overthinking. So just hitting record, putting my headphones on, and having this discussion is something that is teaching me a lot and should teach you quite a bit too, I think. So that kind of leads me into what we're going to be discussing today, which is motivation. Okay. And the reason I wanted to discuss it was because motivation is a very, what's the best word to, firstly, it's bullshit. Okay. Motivation is garbage, absolute garbage. And the reason for that is you you can't rely on motivation to get things done because motivation is too fickle for that, right? Like you can be motivated now and in 2 minutes, like you can have a crappy cup of coffee, which would be terrible. I'm sorry if that happens to you. And then you're not motivated anymore, right? Like you could be okay and then you might hit a little energy dip because it's 4 p.m. and you're hungry and you're not motivated anymore, right? So there's all these things that will impact your motivation levels, right? And it's something that we really have to start understanding because once you understand that motivation isn't the thing that gets you to where you need to be, it changes your life because then you don't wait to be motivated, right? You don't rely on motivation to get things done. So I got a few notes in front of me that we can kind of go through. Again, these are still very, very unrehearsed, very raw. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. So the big reason why I think motivation is rubbish is because at some point in humanity, we were we were told that we need to feel ready in order to change. So we need to feel like now is the right time. And as I'm saying this, I know in the back of your head, you're like, yeah, I've heard that there is no right time. And that's the truth, right? There is no right time ever for anything. Okay. Um, so it's just something to think about, that so we've kind of bought into this lie that we must feel ready to change. We must feel excited. We must feel um, confident. We mustn't be scared. And unfortunately, that's just not how our brains are designed. Okay. We were, we are designed to stay alive. Our brains hate being uncomfortable. Okay. And for anyone that turns around and says, like, I love being uncomfortable, is bullshit. Okay. Because you don't love being uncomfortable. You love what putting yourself into uncomfortable situations does for you after that, right? It's you don't love being uncomfortable. And if anyone does, like reach out. Tell me how much you love being uncomfortable, but like not convinced. Okay. So we're not designed, excuse me, we're not designed to be comfortable. Okay. Our brains try to pull us away from uncomfortable situations, hard situations, for a very good reason to keep us alive. That's what our brain wants to do. Our brain wants to keep us alive. Okay. And it does that job very, very well, but sometimes to our detriment. Okay. And that's because it holds us back from taking risks, from doing certain things, because It doesn't want you to be hurt. It doesn't want you to be uncomfortable. It doesn't want you to take risks, because what if it doesn't work out well? Okay. So that's what our brain is designed to do. But the problem with that is, unfortunately, that doesn't really play out in our lives, and us wanting to change and us wanting to lose weight and feel better about ourselves, because at some point in that journey, there's going to be a time, and probably at many, many points in the journey, there's going to be a time where you're going to be uncomfortable, and you're going to not want to do certain things, and you're going to be tired, and you're not going to feel confident. Kind of like this right now. Like, I'm okay chatting, but the whole idea of a podcast, and like that imposter syndrome, that like, who are you to start a podcast, like all that shit, right? Like, I've got that crazy now. Like, it's like consuming my brain. Okay. but but I'm still here and I'm doing it, right? So we we must understand that in order to lose weight, achieve goals, change our lives, there are going to be things that we're going to have to do that our brains aren't going to want us to do. Okay. Now, there's something that they've called, it's this huge phenomenon called the spotlight effect. And what that does is, when your brain senses like a problem or somewhere uncomfortable, a bit of hesitation, it like blows that up in your mind. Okay. So it takes that small little bit of, so let's use this as an example, right? So I've just started a podcast, feeling like a little bit nervous about it. Suddenly, your mind is like, you're going to fail. People are going to laugh at you. You're going to stutter. Because, by the way, I have a stutter, something that we'll discuss too in this show. Um, people are going to laugh at you. You're not going to talk about exciting stuff. And suddenly your mind builds up this whole thing, right? And all it's doing is just trying to keep you safe. It's saying, don't do that. You're feeling a little bit uneasy about it. You're feeling uneasy for a reason. Like, let's just blow that reason way out of the water. So if you start a podcast, you're literally going to die. So let's rather not die, and let's pull you back, right? So that's called the spotlight effect, and that's something that our brains are absolutely famous for. Absolutely famous. Okay, so how do you get around this thing? Okay, it's a very, very interesting discussion when we talk about motivation, because 99% of the questions that I get, or when I ask my clients and my community, and I'm like, what are you battling with the most at the moment? Motivation. Like, I'm just not motivated to like eat well. um I'm not motivated to train or wake up a little bit earlier. Like, just really battling with motivation. Okay. um how long have you been battling for? Well, I mean, like 3 4 years. I'm like, oh, okay. So so we're just waiting to one day wake up and be pumped. Okay. And here's the kicker, is sometimes that happens. Sometimes you do wake up and you're pumped for the day. Okay. But that won't ever be every single, it's impossible that it'll be every single day. Okay. So you wake up in the morning, you're pumped. So you have a great day. You wake up the next day, you're not pumped. So you have a shit day. Okay. So relying purely on motivation is crazy. So how you can relate to this, and I'll just give you a little bit of my story around this. So obviously, if you know, you might not know, maybe you watched the first one, maybe you didn't. But my mother passed away last year from cancer. And I mean, to say I didn't have motivation would be an understatement, right? I was questioning whether I even wanted to be here or not. Okay. So motivation was something that was so far away from something that I was feeling. It was ridiculous. It like, I kind of felt like I had never felt motivation before. Okay. It was just crazy. So trying to do anything in that time, relying on motivation would be impossible, right? How could you possibly be motivated, and I'm sure tons of people are going through this too. How could you possibly be motivated if you just lost your job, if you're battling financially, if you're morbidly obese, you have a disease, you have something like cancer? Please God, you don't. But you guys kind of get the drift, right? That you you cannot, if you're in a bad place, you cannot rely on motivation. And if you're in a good place, you still can't rely on it. Okay. So where do we move to from here? So now we've decided, cool. So motivation is garbage. And here's the reason why. Okay. So we've discussed that now. We know that motivation is fickle, it comes and goes. We've been designed and programmed to think we need to feel ready to take certain steps. Um, but that's actually a complete lie as well, because we need to push into those levels of discomfort and take certain risks to get a result in our lives, right? So now that we know that, where to from there? So if we don't rely on motivation, what do we rely on, right? How do we move forwards? And I think I can really only speak from experience. I've helped a lot of people in the past, but I can really only speak from my experience, And one of those things is you don't need more motivation. You need more vision, clarity, and direction. Okay. Now those things are also not easy to do. Okay, but they're a little more tangible, if I could call it that. Okay, so for example, um, if I'm not motivated to do this podcast right now, okay, and the truth is, like, I wasn't. I've had a headache today. Um, I've got a pretty busy day. After this, I'm going past the cemetery just to get a bit of connection to my mom. So, like, you can understand, like, I'm not pumped to do the podcast right now, but I have a vision, okay? And I want to help as many people as I can, okay? I want to help as many kids as I can. I want to help as many people lose weight and feel amazing about themselves as I can. And for me to do that, this is one of the ways I do that, right? Now, that vision of where I want to be and what I'd like to achieve in my life is so, so powerful that it doesn't motivate me to do the podcast. But for me, I need to do certain things to achieve that vision. There's my stutter, by the way. To achieve that vision. It's funny how I say it again and it doesn't happen, right? God damn it. Sneaky little badass stutter. Right. So just having more vision and clarity and direction. Now, again, those things are hard to get to as well. But something that you have to think about is, so how do we do that then? Right. So, for example, I'll tell you exactly how. Okay. I'll tell you exactly how I do it. Right. So I use a journaling practice, and I use a practice in the evening called counting my wins. And then I have high yielding tasks that I do on a daily basis, right? Now, so we look at what I want to achieve in my life, okay? And from that, we then turn around and we go, okay, what do you have to do to get there? Okay, whether you're motivated or not, like, you're going to have to do certain things to get to that bigger picture. My why, your why. Like, why are you here? Why do you do what you do? Right? So, those high yielding tasks are certain things like do a podcast twice a week, post on my Facebook pages, post on Instagram, reach out to 5 people, connect, blah blah blah. Right? So there's a few things I have to do every single day, whether I'm motivated or not. Okay, and I have to do those things every single day. Okay, so some days I'm motivated, some days I'm not, but I have a structure to my day. Okay, and that's where we're now getting to the main point, right? So wake up in the morning and I journal. Okay, I write down what's going on in my head, what I'm feeling, what do I have planned for the day. And sometimes that journaling is a very hard thing because sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I'm no one, I'm a nobody. I feel bad. I didn't get to show my mom certain things. Like sometimes it's a hard thing to do, but it's one of my high yielding tasks. So it's one of the things that I have to do. Okay. And so I do that and I kind of get all that bad language and all the, because all of that is bullshit, right? So all the bad language in your head is rubbish. Okay. But when it's in your head, you believe it to be true. Suddenly you bring it out onto a piece of paper, you start to question it, right? When you write down on your paper, I'm a nobody, is that true? Probably not, right? So we start there and then we go into my other high yielding tasks, right? So, for example, doing my Facebook posts, doing what I have to do, making sure I reach out to 5 people. So sometimes I'm not motivated to do these things. Sometimes I'm like, do I have to do this? Like, I'm not feeling like it, but I really do want to make my life special and I want to impact as many lives as I can. So for me to do that thing, I'm going to have to do these 5 or 6 things every single day. Okay, whether I'm motivated or not. Okay, so that's that direction. Okay, you have to have more direction. So motivation won't always be there, but if you have certain tasks you need to do on a daily basis, those are there. Like they're there. They're on the piece of paper. Here's my journal right next to me. Okay, like they're there. Whether you're motivated or not, if I have to do a podcast on Mondays and Wednesdays, whether I'm motivated or not, like the day for the podcast is a Monday and a Wednesday. Okay, so it doesn't matter how I'm feeling about it. Like I need to do it, right? And the crazy part of this all is once you do this and you start ticking things off your list, even if you aren't motivated to do them, you feel this unbelievable sense of achievement. And that's when things start to shift. Is when you turn around and you go, I didn't want to do this today. I really didn't want to do this today, but I did it. And I feel really fucking good about that. Okay. And then maybe tomorrow you wake up and like you're pumped for your day. So like you smash through your high yielding tasks, you get things done, but then maybe tomorrow it's not like that. So you wake up, you journal, you get into your tasks, and maybe by the end of the day, like you don't feel great, and you're like, oh, like I'm still not feeling great. Like that's fine. Like you're a human being. The idea of being motivated all day, every day, and feeling pumped is bullshit. Okay, that's impossible to feel that way. You're a human being. You're not a machine. Understand that, please. Okay, please understand that. It's so important that you do. Okay, so moving forwards, what do you need to do to start changing this? Okay, 1, get more direction and clarity. So figure out where you want to be. What do you want your life to be about? What would you like to achieve? Okay, then you have to break that down into daily tasks because you cannot wait for motivation to just pick you up and move you forwards. Okay, if we use weight loss as an example, okay, so if we turn around and we go, okay, you'd like to lose 10 kilograms. Yeah, but Ricky, I'm just not motivated. Okay, that's fine. So what do we have to do to lose that 10 kilograms? Well, you're going to have to train 3-4 times a week. You're going to have to eat a bit better, track our calories. We're going to have to check in and be accountable every day, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so then we start that journey, right? In the beginning, you're not motivated, okay? But you then start getting a little win. So you go, okay, well, I had a shit day, but I had a salad today, which is better than the other day. And that is pretty cool, I guess. So we start to count our wins. Okay. So in the evenings, you count your wins. So no matter how bad your day was, or how you thought it was, you sit there and count your wins. And you find wins in everything. I did a podcast today. I had a good coffee. I had another good coffee. I had another good coffee. No, I'm joking. So you start counting your wins for the day. No matter how bad your day is, I promise you, if you sit down and try and search for wins in your day, you can find 10, 15, 20. I have a roof over my head, win. Comfortable bed, win. Food in the fridge, win. So you can see what I'm saying, that no matter how bad your day is, there are certain things that can change the way you feel and change your state very, very easily. Okay. So, and I'm going to give you the most extreme example that I have in my life. Okay. And that's from my mom's passing. So she passed away, not a win at all. She was in unbelievable pain and she was very, very uncomfortable and she was suffering astronomically. The fact that she isn't suffering like that anymore, win. Right? So that's possibly the most extreme example, please God, I'll ever have in my life. But can you see how that works? That no matter how bad a situation is, if you look for the win, you'll find it. So let's not chase motivation, okay? Because motivation's garbage. Let's rather chase direction and a bit more clarity and figuring out what's going on in your head and being a bit more grateful and counting your wins in the evening so we can constantly try and reconstruct the way we think and the way we see the world and the way we see things. Okay? Because if you wait for motivation, nothing's going to get done. No entrepreneur, businessman, successful weight loss client has ever been ever been successful purely on being motivated. Because constantly, no matter how successful you are, no matter how much weight you lose, you're not going to be motivated all the time. I've broken my foot. I'm not motivated to go to the gym, but I go 2-3 times a week. Why? Because I have a coach that I pay and I'm accountable to him and he's very good at what he does and I respect his time. I'm not always motivated to go, but I go. And afterwards, I feel amazing. Funny how that works. Funny how that works, huh? How if you just push out of your comfort zone a little, push yourself into that level of discomfort a little, and then afterwards you feel great. Funny how that works. You weren't motivated, but now you feel amazing. Can you see what I'm saying? Motivation is fickle. It's not something that I want you to strive for. It's not something that I want you to wait for. Okay? Push yourself into levels of discomfort. If you need help and support or accountability, reach out to me, reach out to another coach. Like there's so many people here that'll help you with that. But just don't wait for motivation to raise its head and go, right, now's the perfect time for you to go and do that thing, because that's never going to happen. And if it does happen, it'll be so short-lived that it may as well have never happened anyway. Okay? So I hope you got some value from that. I hope that made some sense to you. If it didn't, I'm sorry. If it did, I'm so happy. Motivation is something that I always searched for. And sometimes I search for it still, like I'm a human being. I'm still going through this journey of figuring stuff out, probably just as much as you are, by the way, but one thing I do know is waiting to feel motivated to do something is insane, because that's never going to happen. But creating your vision and getting more direction, getting some help, getting a coach, writing down your goals, setting a plan in place, small little tasks every single day, not 158 things to do, 5 things, 4 things that you got to do every single day that'll move you closer and closer and closer to where you need to be. That's what you need to put more time into, not trying to feel pumped every single day. Guys, I hope you got some value there. If you did, super chuffed. Let me know. If there's anything else you'd love me to chat about on here, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to know. But apart from that, have the best day. I'll chat to you soon.